discriminate. There's nothing like religious racial discrimination in Buhari's administration. He's a man for all. He means good for this country. And we owe him support. Unalloyed support. Consistent support. Perennial support. Unstoppable support. Spiritual and otherwise. Because if he is not the man on the helm of affair now, had he been the last regime continued, by now, Nigeria will be for sales. Who will buy? All the money is voted to buy this and buy that. Few people stole the money in billions of dollars. And you people are passing through chronic hunger, joblessness. Many have died, many are dying because of few people. And that's why they want to engineer you people to cause crisis, even in this part of Igbo land, that Igbos are marginalized. Igbo people are unmarginalizable. Nobody marginalized us. The Spirit of God wanted me to speak good over what has happened so far in this administration. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not a psycho.
Hello, you're welcome back to Ben TV Studios. This is Politics with KO, and we're discussing the apparent disappearance, I use that in quote, of President Buhari of Nigeria. And I've got with me this second half of the program, Patrick Okene, a social commentator, and Anthony Akabogu, an IT specialist. You're both welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, Patrick, let me first, there's no point even shooting any question at you. You are not disappointed that the APC is rigmaroling and that we're having this situation, are you?
No, actually I am. To be honest, I am very disappointed and I'm sad because never in my wildest dreams did I expect things were going to get as bad as this. I knew they were going to get bad. I said it 2 years on this show.
Yes, you did.
And I wrote a series of articles just showing, stating how bad the man Buhari is going to be for a country called Nigeria. But even that, I did not expect things to get this bad. So my heart is full of sadness because at the end of the day, we're all Nigerians and we want the best for our country.
Anthony, is it that the story is a story of disappointment, sadness, and Patrick thinks things are very bad?
Obviously, Patrick will be disappointed because, as he rightly said, that was his stake. So he was expectant that things will fall the way it is. But the fact of the matter still remains that we made the right choice, given the fact of the contestants made available to Nigeria. Still believe that Buhari was the best candidate, given that you had Jonathan, you had Atiku, you had Buhari. So, in a nutshell, you know, there's no regret.
So I should make some declaration here. Yourself and myself did support Buhari in this election.
Of course.
During that election.
Yeah.
Even as a Buhari supporter, don't you think there's some level of disappointment?
Of course. I mean, you know, that is to be expected. Why? Because the situation where Nigeria was before Buhari came into play, it wasn't something that you would expect that will be resolved in 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. I want Colin. I know you're on the line, but I want my two guests to let's stay on the line. I want Patrick to react
because I want to knock this lie on the head.
Yes.
Because
please do.
Because one of the problems we have, the problem with Nigerians, is that a lot of Nigerians, they cut their noses to spite their face. And there to console themselves, they say they've had plastic surgery. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to join I'm not going to delude myself to say we had plastic surgery. It was a horrible choice. So when people say...
When it's a horrible choice, it's a Buhari choice.
Of course, absolutely it was. So when people say things were bad, I remember what the exchange rate was. I remember the production output of our industry. I remember what our GDP was. Our GDP by that time was 6.3%. What was the GDP last year? Minus 1.7. So it amazes me that people can say that Nigeria paint the picture as if Nigeria was on the precipice. Nigeria was not. You know, so and if you look at the government 2 years on, what has Buhari achieved? I can point to one good thing because credit to whom credit is due, whistleblowing. Take that away. What else can you point to say Buhari has achieved in 2 years?
Let me give Anthony a chance to reply to that, and then I'll come to Colin. It's brought out a statistic about the GDP that things have gone really bad, and what can we say this government has achieved really so far?
Well, if I have to go into, that semantics, which will be, will entirely be a different program on itself to deal with the economics of Nigeria. But if you check what Buhari has done so far, prior to him coming in, we had a very depleted treasury during Jonathan's regime. During Jonathan's regime of 6 years, Nigeria has not, achieved the level of oil export and revenue within that 6 years. The oil we're selling at 100 to 100 and something dollars per barrel, as at that 6 years. So we made so much money in 2012 alone. In 2012 alone, Nigeria made $100 billion, and David Cameron had to repudiate Jonathan in Davos
for mismanaging the
right there. But what did Jonathan do? You did not respond. The next you did was to fly into London, right? You hosted your birthday party here. And there was no response. You cannot, as a president of a country, another president of another country goes on an international forum to repudiate you, and you made no single.
Let me before I'll let you come. Let's bring in Colin. Let's bring in a caller here. Colin, good evening, Colin. Tell us where you're calling from, and then please interact with the gentleman.
Yeah, I'm calling from London, and Patrick. I must say, honestly, I think I fall into your school of thought. And I think at this point, I'm going to say the likes of Cowdy and Anthony, I think you do owe Nigerians a genuine and sincere apology. Especially you, Mr. Cowdy Okene. I can absolutely tell you there are people who voted for Buhari because of you. Because you are, during the period of the campaign, the electionary campaign, you actually came out point blank that you went for it, for you are a Buhari. Do you understand, sir? So whatever the predicament with Nigeria is going through today, in the hands of Buhari, you understand? I think people like you do own Nigerians.
Because I don't want to make myself the subject of the interview now, because I want to make it about the gentleman. But let me say it clearly. Given that choice again, I think I will still make the choice. But don't let us make it about me. Let's have.
So let me come back to that again. This is what I get. This is what I find quite frustrating. The fact that they twist facts. When people say oil prices were highest under Jonathan, that is absolutely not true. The highest oil prices got under Jonathan, because I deal with facts, the highest oil prices got under Jonathan was around about $122, $23. But let's not let facts get in the ways of the narrative.
But compared to $30-something.
Yeah, I know, but people keep...
It's a huge difference.
There is, but people assume that oil prices were stable. No, they were not. They went up and down. And the oil prices were actually highest. But nevertheless, $100. Oh, they were actually, they got as low as $52 under Jonathan. The facts are there. But the problem I find with Nigerians is that we're quite lazy when it comes to research. We're quite lazy when it comes to when dealing with facts. We're very emotional people. And the fact of the matter is, when people say he met an empty treasury, let's look at the fact. What was in the treasury when they handed over? They were handover notes. They keep saying that they met an empty treasury. I'm not a card-carrying member of PDP. But the fact is, it's a matter of lesser of two evils. And I made it quite clear. When I came on this show, we had the APC spokesperson here. And I remember giving him a note to say, okay, you know what? Paint me a picture. Show me a construct of the new Nigeria. What are you going to, what is Buhari going to bring? I gave him a piece of paper and a pen on this show. He couldn't write it. 2 years on, They still can't. They are still, it's no longer about Jonathan. He's been there for 2 years. What has he done for the past 2 years?
Anthony, that's a fair question. Though. It seems that the government, everything, when people ask what has gone bad, people go back and say, Jonathan, at what point is this government going to move on and tell us this is what we're going to do? And Chris, please hold on to the line. Let's have Anthony.
If you tell me that there isn't any palliatives in terms of the economic policies on the table to cushion the effect of what Nigerians are experiencing, I will say yes, there isn't, right? And that's exactly where I will hold the president and his team responsible. Now, you cannot negate the fact that we had a terrible government before Buhari, and Nigeria being 90% oil, exporting nation without any other form of revenue. You were selling oil, 100 and something, yes, it was fluctuating here and there, but you made so much amount
That's
of
Jonathan.
revenue.
That's
Yes.
the Jonathan government.
Now, listen to this. This Jonathan was still borrowing money every single month to pay salary. You were running a 90% recurrent expenditure budget with 20 in capital expenditure. And you expect moon to fall in that kind of economy. You generated so much amount of money.
Okay.
And you squandered that money.
Talking about borrowing, sorry to cut you there. How much did Buhari ask the Senate to approve?
Well,
$30 billion US dollars without a plan. Without a plan to show what he's going to use that money for.
Let's go to specifics in terms of what
that is a specific.
Because the specific.
How much did Jonathan borrow?
How much did Jonathan?
Yes, I'm telling you how much Buhari is borrowing now. How much did
Jonathan was borrowing $1 billion naira, $1 billion every single month.
Are you sure of that?
Yes. Okay. And was paying salary.
Okay,
you said you're doing research. You can research that.
We'll fact check that.
Yes.
Let's bring in Chris first. Hello, good evening, Chris. Hello, good evening, Chris.
Hello, good evening.
Please tell us where you're calling from and speak to the two gentlemen, Patrick and Anthony.
Well, good evening, Keo.
Yes.
I'm calling from London here.
Yeah.
Just want to add one or two things to the discussion at hand. In all honesty, I think we need to be fair to Buhari. But one thing I've noticed that since the inception of his administration, his presence alone has created a lot of fears into the heart of these corrupt politicians that we have in Nigeria. During Jonathan's administration, a lot of things went on challenged. A lot of corruption was just too. The country was in a big mess. At a point in time, I had some of my friends back home in Nigeria that did come anytime we were chatting on the phone. They said, well, God will help us if in the next 2 years or 3 years, if something was not done during
Jonathan's period.
Jonathan's regime, that Ghana may eventually take over Nigeria, may buy Nigeria, because everything, Okojo was a very good economics person, and he did a lot of promoting,
Chris, I'll have to let you go there.
looking good.
At what point are we going to talk about what Buhari's plans for Nigeria are? Because the country still seems to be fixated.
Can you tell this program what 3 key things that Buhari promised Nigerians?
$1 to 1 rate?
He never said
No.
Who said it? So it seems like all the promises on the website.
No, let's be clear. He never said that.
40,000 K.
No.
Electricity output?
No.
You
see,
did you promise that?
The problem is, I hear you say about people not doing enough research.
Yes.
I mean, I find it a bit disgusting having to hear that here. The fact of the matter still remains that Buhari did not, talk about all this. There were
What did he promise?
There were 3 key: corruption, corruption, security, and a bit of economy.
Okay, good. So let's
Let's deal with that.
Okay, corruption.
So let's talk about corruption.
Yes.
I can tell you for this is a fact.
Yeah.
Go and look for the interview by Junaid Mohammed. This is a fact. No president in Nigeria has practiced as much nepotism as Buhari. Nepotism itself is corruption. Maman Daura is related to him. Who else? I have some of the names here. Abba Kyari, the chief of army staff, is Maman Daura's nephew. Minister of Water Resources is his nephew. His government is packed by his relatives. And then you tell me that is not corruption. So what is corruption?
Patrick has got a point there that
his government is packed by his relatives.
Today that within the government you can actually point out to people, especially from the northern part, of either being cousins, relatives, you know, and on the part of nepotism. That's a fair.
Is that not corruption?
Yeah. He has a very valid point there, and I've countlessly made assertions to that. The problem that the government has today is the amount of people that Buhari circled himself in Aso Rock. But I'll cut him some slacks because when you are running a highly corrupt nation, where you are finding it difficult, to assemble people that you can work with. I remember immediately after the election, or prior to the election, Buhari made it clear that his government will be run by technocrats. Technocrats. He still had that in mind until after the election. I think Obasanjo suggested a couple of names like Professor Soludo and one or two people.
And that didn't cut through.
And didn't cut through from APC.
Okay.
From APC top brass.
Okay. I'll take in caller, but I then want to go back to the main topic, which is the Buhari's presence in the United Kingdom. Let's take caller's phone call first. Good evening, caller.
Yeah. Good evening. Yeah, Calvin. Yeah. We're done for the good job you are doing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Now, the problem Nigeria is facing at the moment is a sort of past mismanagement by Jonathan government. It's just like the program you are presenting now.
Yeah. This
program, you plan it for almost 4 weeks. You understand it?
Yeah.
So most of us are doing at a particular time are the sort of our past events. You understand it? So one of your best, the social commentator.
Yeah.
I don't think that gentleman knows what he's talking about. You understand it? Buhari misquote for Nigeria.
Okay.
You understand it?
Yeah.
So now...
you're referring to Patrick. I want Patrick to, because you just make an allegation that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, I'll say, you know what he's saying? I think he's saying that Buhari means very well for Nigeria. Means very well. Now, let me tell you, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So it is not enough to say you mean very well. It is your actions. So when you tell me that Buhari needed to work with people he trusted. Let's look at the MPA chairman. It's a young lady with a master's degree. Are you telling me that in the country of 170 million people, that is the most qualified person to run MPA? Is that what you're saying?
What is wrong with the appointment?
She lacks the experience. Or her claim to fame was that she did masters here in the UK. What is her claim to, what experience, if she puts a CV on the table, what is there that sets her out to run MPA? Apart from the fact that she is a northern House of Fulani and somebody who is directly related to Buhari. What are her qualifications?
Anthony.
I can say same of so many other appointments by Buhari.
You see, this notion, this narrative of relative, before the election, we made it clear. I don't care whether he goes to Daura and employs people. I know the fact that he is going there to deliver because he means very well for the country.
Yeah.
I care less of who he has or who he brought in.
I want to ask my caller. Hello, caller. Patrick just answered your question. Are you satisfied with that?
No, but yeah, the point the social commentator was making, I don't quite agree, because at the end of the day, as a human being, you don't want to work with people that you don't trust. You have to work with people that you trust. It's a common thing.
Let me come to you.
Can you conclude, please, so that we can take another caller?
Yeah, anyway, that's what I have to say anyway.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
What about, because I know Buhari very well. I wrote a a series of articles before, even before he ran against Jonathan. So now, when they say he works with who he trusts very well, like the chief grass cutter in Aso Rock, the man who cleared grass for 260 million.
Okay.
The Senate, they've shouted, everybody's shouted, Buhari has still stopped by him. Is that the kind of thing Nigeria expects? Where you cut grass with 260 million, grass cutters and other animals in Aso Rock? Is that the construct of Nigeria you expected?
Well, if I have to expect the Senate to tell me,
don't shoot the messenger.
Hold on. If I have to listen to the Senate, to tell me who and who should not, then I shouldn't.
Okay, but
hold on, let me speak, my friend. The Senate that we have today, is filled with very questionable characters, to say the least. So I am not going to listen to the Senate.
Okay.
Because of the allegations they made.
Okay, so forget Senate. It's not an allegation. It's a fact. The facts were there.
So
forget the Senate. Secretary to the federal government. So is it okay? Because he doesn't want to answer it. Typical APC attitude. Let me ask you. Is it okay for the Secretary to the federal government to take 260 million and, according to him, to clear grass? Is it grass all over the country?
That's a fair point, though. That people close to the president, that have been indicted in corruption charges, the president does not seem to be assertive as he has been on other people. I think that's the point.
The point he has made, is quite clear, right? I still go back to the Senate. You cannot simply. I'm going to answer that. You cannot simply. With a quantum of corrupt practices in the Senate, and you're pointing fingers without full class evidence and details. The man has said that he had already resigned, even prior to that particular contract, right? Now, guess who is talking? Guess who? We're talking about the Senate. Nigerian Senate today.
And they are known for their corrupt
Saraki and co.
Okay, let me
Dino Malaya and co. All these guys.
Let me bring in Emeka. Good evening, Emeka. Hello, Emeka. Do we still have you there?
Yes, I'm still okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, please. Tell us where you're calling from and make your contribution, please.
Hi. Yeah, I'm calling from London. Thank you very much for the program. It's very interesting.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, basically, I just want to make a few points. I want to thank the gentlemen that are making contributions there as well. Basically, I want to say something. First, we listened to Father Mbaka. What he's saying, I would say, is very interesting.
Yeah.
But he didn't make specific regarding to what the people he's criticizing.
Yeah.
That he said that ran down the country. We all understand that the previous government, including the governors and the senators, as he said, didn't do well. But we should not take away the fact that those governors we are talking about, as the same ones, still running the country today under Buhari. Okay, now another thing I want to say is somebody saying that Buhari met empty treasury. We keep hearing that language. I know it's something that APC coined. What do we understand by meeting empty treasury? What does that mean? We don't understand.
Okay. Anthony, what does it mean?
What it means is, meeting an empty treasury does not empty treasury per se, in terms of like you made a zero money in the treasury. What it is given the amount of money that we made in 6 years, what was left has got nothing to write home about.
$30 billion.
Jonathan had almost every month, every quarter, borrowing, both from the same Islamic banks we are talking about, every single place, every single organization, he's borrowing money. He borrowed money. And those monies that he borrowed were in the tune of 30 to 45 years repayment plan.
But Patrick is saying he left about $30 billion
in the reserve account. So is that empty? Is that what you consider as empty?
Okay. How much did Jonathan met? Obasanjo left $68 billion.
Without any infrastructure, because we can have that argument also, because again, when you look at under Obasanjo, Oil prices were very low when he
So
came
what infrastructure did Jonathan create?
Let me finish. The rail between Abuja and Kaduna was built by Jonathan, even though it was built. Let's not let facts get in the way of the narrative.
Built by who?
So now, what Obasanjo did was he kept on building the reserves. He paid off the Paris Club debt and all of that. But there are also the economists who will tell you that was actually a wrong approach, because you don't take that sort of lump sum and then give it to somebody else, because you need to develop your infrastructure. Without infrastructure, you can't grow your economy, and that was what we needed to do. Okay. Now, but you don't just keep the money and then you're looking at it and then you say roads were
let's go to Leeds, because we've got Julius calling from Leeds. Good evening, Julius.
Yeah, good evening, Keo.
I can hardly hear you. If you could speak louder, please.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to your guests too. Yeah, please just to clear some points Mr. Patrick is making.
Yes.
Before Jonathan came in, Nigeria, the debt was 3 trillion. But as I told Jonathan left, Nigeria was owing 13.3 trillion. And during this time, Nigeria was selling, crude oil was being sold at over $100. And also, before Jonathan came in, Nigeria, the foreign reserve of Nigeria was $62.3 billion.
Yeah.
But as I told him left, it was 29 point something. So and he was borrowing much. He was borrowing all this while. Yeah. So are you telling me Jonathan was prudent?
Okay. All right, but you can't take those facts away that there was from 3 trillion to 13 trillion borrowings, and
this
and that is not to take credit for some of the things he's done well.
Okay, so again, this is why I get frustrated a little bit with Nigerians and also with this government. If Jonathan was perfect, he would still be in power.
Yeah.
We voted him out. Nigerians voted him out. And Nigerians don't seem to get that. You voted him out. Probably Buhari himself still doesn't understand that he's the president. Buhari probably still behaves and thinks he's in opposition, and then the country will run itself for him. Buhari, in his own mind, expected to come in and everything will be perfect. We voted Jonathan out because he was found wanted.
Okay, because
2 years on, what are you doing? This is the question. We can't even find
the quantum of the problem that this man met on the ground cannot be cannot be erased in 2 years.
Okay, on a final note, I want both of you to comment on the president's presence in the UK. How would you react to it?
Personally, actually, it is my hope and prayer that he gets well for the sake of our country. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But it is disgraceful, the way they've gone about it. I knew, a lot of people knew that Buhari was ill from the get-go. But he hid that. And that is very shameful. And like what people say, lies sprint, but truth runs a marathon. Okay. The truth has caught up with Buhari.
Anthony.
Well, without saying I take issues that the man is here. Yeah. Based on national security, you cannot just abdicate your responsibility and fly over to another country, stay there and be getting treatment. It is not good. The way they've handled it is very, very terrible. The man needs to speak to Nigeria. You cannot be taking calls from Trump and taking pictures with these guys from Abuja and all that.
And not speak to your own people.
I'm not speaking to the people that voted you in. That is where I have a problem.
All right. Anthony and Patrick, thank you so much. At least there's areas of convergence. And I said to Nigerians, we might disagree on a lot of issues, but there's one thing that is sure: we all love Nigeria. And sadly, we have to come to the end of today's program. Next month, we're going to see you last Friday of every month. And I would want to have Anthony and Patrick back some other time for a full show, because their angles are quite interesting. Thanks to our earlier guests, Ronke and Douglas. And we'll see you, and of course, Kayode Ajulo, to all the production crew, Rose, Mary, Peter, Tony, Uche, and the Ben TV crew, Chilese. I want to say thank you for all the hard work. And Rosemary Ajayi, I wouldn't forget you too. Good night. See you next month, last Friday. And God bless Nigeria. Something new on Politics with KO. This time around, there's going to be live reports from Nigeria. We'll be going through the geopolitical zones. We'll have correspondents. I'll be telling you what is happening. A review of monthly events. Since it's once a month, it's going to be your summary. Nigerians in diaspora would not need to go to Nigeria to find out what is happening. We'll be getting live reports. We'll have